The biggest threat to the Akatsuki at the moment is you.
Orochimaru's eyes widen as numerous missiles come flying at him at great speed. They reach Orochimaru and explode violently, creating a big opening in the forest. The Asura Path lands next to Obito, who's turned himself intangible to avoid being damaged. The dust settles and Orochimaru is revealed with a giant, dark purple skeleton surrounding him and his Mangekyo active.
The Susanoo. I'm still not used to seeing it wielded by a non-Uchiha.
Orochimaru is about to say something, but before he can, Madara sprints at him. The Snake Man doesn't have any time to think about what's happening as the masked man runs straight through his Susanoo and extends a hand at his real body. Shocked that his ultimate defense was seemingly just ignored, Orochimaru jumps back to avoid Madara's hand. But as soon as he leaves the Susanoo, two more figures attack him from behind. The Preta and human paths. He senses their presence at the last second and immediately weaves a hand sign for a fire-style jutsu. Suddenly, a wave of flaming ash bursts out of the Sannin, blowing everyone around him back and hiding him from view. Orochimaru bites into his finger and places a hand on the ground in an attempt to reverse summon himself out of there. However...
What? Why is nothing happening?
Shinra Tensei. A huge shockwave blows away all the ash and Orochimaru. The attack annihilates a huge section of the forest. After flying a few dozen meters, Orochimaru is able to find his footing and stop himself from being pushed back any further by activating the Susanoo again. He sees Madara, the human, Preta, Asura, and Diva paths standing before him. The Snake Man knows that Nagato has the Rinnegan and projects it into Tendo, but he had no idea that there were several puppets with the Rinnegan. He only ever saw Tendo.
What is the meaning of this? Madara, Nagato.
Without saying a word, Madara warps away and the Paths of Pain go into action. Asura fires several missiles as Human and Preta run at the Sannin. Realizing that he has no other option than to fight, Orochimaru weaves another set of hand signs and fires off a massive, majestic destroyer flame. The wall of fire makes the missiles detonate in the air harmlessly and then quickly vanishes as Preta absorbs it. Orochimaru is surprised, but doesn't lose his cool. At least he's figuring out what the enemy is capable of. Preta and Human reach him and they engage each other in a taijutsu clash. Unbeknownst to Orochimaru, these paths are a lot stronger than the ones we saw in the original for reasons explained in the previous part of the story. Orochimaru takes up a mostly defensive role, wanting to figure out all of his opponent's moves before counter-attacking. He starts blocking and dodging the hits of the two paths in front of him. They're fast, but not as fast as he is. It's a 2-on-1, but Orochimaru is able to handle his opponents with little difficulty. At least until Madara appears behind him and extends his hand at the Sannin's back. The Snake Man is about to dodge, but the two Pains grab his hands and hold him in place. Orochimaru realizes that he has no other choice. He uses time lag and the masked man returns in time to when he was just about to appear behind Orochimaru. With the extra time, the Snake Man pushes away the two paths with each of his hands and turns around and launches a snake at the spot where Madara is supposed to appear. Sure enough, the area where the snake is aiming warps and Madara starts appearing. He's shocked to see that a snake is about to bite into his neck. Obito, mid-teleport, is forced to move his arm and catch the snake's head in his hand. He crushes the reptile and extends a hand at Orochimaru, who starts phasing into the ground. He sighs internally. At least Madara has to become tangible to teleport. That's a weakness that can be exploited. Before the Sannin can disappear into the dirt, the Preta Path punches the ground hard enough to shatter its outer layers and send rocks flying into the air. The dirt around Orochimaru rockets upward, leaving the Snake Man once again exposed. The Asura Path, having been surveying the battle from above the entire time, shoots a massive laser beam down at the enemy. Orochimaru's first instinct is to dodge, but he quickly realizes that he doesn't have enough time for that and instead puts up his armored Susanoo. The blinding light of beam engulfs the Snake Man's avatar, making it hard to see. Using this brightness as cover, Madara becomes intangible and slips into Orochimaru's Susanoo again, threatening to lay a hand on the Sannin. Orochimaru opens his mouth wide and shoots a blade out at the man in the mask. hoping to force him to phase and betting that it would disrupt his attack. And sure enough, Madara phases through the blade and Orochimaru's body itself without being able to attack. The Sannin smirks and prepares to jump together with the Susanoo, but suddenly he's pulled out of his avatar by Tendo using a Bancho Tennin. The human and Pretopaths jump in front of Tendo and prepare to attack Orochimaru while he's being pulled in. The Snake Man, thinking fast, shoots out a striking Shadow Snake Jutsu at the ground from each of his hands. Numerous large snakes bite into the earth in an attempt to stop the pull, but it's no use. The Bancho Tennin continues pulling Orochimaru and drags the snakes along with him. The Sannin then decides to try to use this to his advantage. He opens his mouth wide and spits out a couple dozen or so smaller snakes, which all fly at Tendo with the help of the Bancho Tennin. However, Preta and Human pull out a Rinnegan rod in each hand and start killing the snakes as they pass them.
This is bad. The snakes are ineffective and one of those puppets has the ability to absorb jutsu, so that won't work either. Time lag is still on cooldown, and if I activate the Susanoo, he'll pull me right out of it again. It'll eat up a lot of my remaining chakra, but I have no other choice.
Orochimaru's right eye starts spinning, and so does the world around him. Pain and Madara instantly realize what's going on.
Pain, get out of range.
Madara warps away into his dimension. Tendo stops the Bancho Tennin and all the paths present jump back.
Orochimaru's dimension portal has a wide range, but as long as the target is able to escape in time, it's only a waste of chakra, as once the teleportation has started, it cannot be stopped. That being said, it doesn't seem like I'll be able to get out of this on foot. The area of effect is wider than I initially expected. Seems like I'll have to reveal the animal path now.
Tendo lets out a small smile before suddenly disappearing into a cloud of smoke. The other paths also vanish. They were summoned away by the animal path, which has been lurking in the shadows so far. The Snake Man lands on the blood-red water of his domain. On the outside, Tendo, Asura, Preta, human and animal meet up with Madara. Good. Just jumping into that dimension takes up a ton of chakra. And unlike my Kamui, his dimension actually takes chakra to maintain. Inside of that dimension, Orochimaru can control pretty much everything. In theory, he could even mimic certain Kekkei without actually possessing them. He could grow wood, pour lava, or create ice, but in exchange, the dimension takes chakra to maintain while it's active. When Orochimaru runs out of chakra, the dimension will collapse and he'll be shot out of it and land here again. I have no doubt that he will return before that happens, so be ready to fight.
Those puppets by themselves aren't too threatening physically, but there are 6 of them and they all seem to have unique abilities. The big one can absorb jutsu. The bald one uses mechanical weaponry. The one with long hair hasn't demonstrated its powers yet, and the main pain seems to have some sort of telepathy or force manipulation. The real Nagato has to be somewhere nearby too to control them. How troublesome. I can't reverse summon myself away for whatever reason, and I'm low on chakra now.
After a little bit of preparation, Orochimaru returns to the outside world. Once he does, he finds Madara and all the paths of pain surrounding him.
Look at you. Even your eyes have reverted back to a regular Sharingan. You can't even maintain your Mangekyo active anymore, can you?
The Asura path suddenly raises its arms and shoots a bunch of missiles at Orochimaru, who desperately tries to dodge them, but is quickly caught in a Bancho Tennin and sent flying into the missiles. They explode after making contact with the Sannin's body. The blast disfigures Orochimaru and blows away his Akatsuki robe. The Snake Man falls to the ground, badly injured, but quickly opens his mouth and a new Orochimaru slithers out and attempts to attack the Diva Path. The Pain scoffs, raises a hand and blows the snake away with a Shinra Tensei. A huge part of the forest is torn to shreds and Orochimaru's body takes a lot more damage. He tries to regain his footing and stop himself from being pushed farther, but it's no use. The force of Pain's attack launches him backwards at least a few hundred meters before the Sanin's back hits a wall. Orochimaru collapses to the ground at first, but soon stands up and looks around. Behind him is a giant wall of red chakra. A barrier.
Now I get it. You used a barrier to trap me here so you could finish me off without having to worry about me escaping.
That's right. You see, Pain and I came to the decision to get rid of you during your invasion. We decided to get a few other Akatsuki members to help out as well. Using Nagato's ability to telepathically communicate over great distances, we informed them of our plans and had them rush over to this location. While you were busy fighting in the Leaf, everyone in the Akatsuki was doing their part. Right now, 4 of our members are maintaining this barrier. Sasori is currently immobile, but Deidara is busy hunting down any of your subordinates who've managed to escape the battle in Konoha.
For the great Mother Uchiha and the invincible Pain to go to such lengths to kill me, I almost feel flattered.
Face it, you're done. There's no way for you to win, nor is there a way for you to escape. We've made sure of that.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Orochimaru waves a few hand signs and opens his mouth to fire off a jutsu, but before he can, Tendo raises a hand and uses a Shinra Tensei to pin the Sanin into the barrier. The Asura Path raises an arm, which morphs into a cannon. The appendage starts glowing, and a mere moment later, a massive laser beam shoots out of it and hits Orochimaru dead on, completely disintegrating his body. One eye down. Remember, he's most definitely using his Anagi to come back to life. Now we just have to wait and see where he reappears. It's a special barrier, so he can't get out of it, even if he rewrites his death. I want your sensory abilities to be on high alert. I know. The paths of Pain and Madara spread out a little and hop across the trees, scouring the forest in order to find Orochimaru. After a couple minutes, the Preta path lands on the ground. Suddenly, Orochimaru appears in front of it. One of his eyes closes. Forever. He looks around and realizes that his Izanagi trick didn't work. Of course it didn't. He's up against the supposedly greatest Uchiha of all time. After the Preta path sees the Sanin appear, it jumps back a couple meters. Further away, the Diva Path tells Madara where Orochimaru is, and all the paths head to the Snake Man's location while the Masked Man warps away. Orochimaru, seeing the Preta Path alone, realizes that this is a great opportunity. He pulls out a sword from his mouth and rushes at the Pain. Preta tries to retreat, but it's no use. Even with a base Sharingan, Orochimaru is faster and manages to catch up. By the time the other paths arrive, Preta is already dismantled and Orochimaru is gone. Tendo closes his eyes. He uses his sensory capabilities to try to locate the Sanin. In a few seconds, he's able to pinpoint his location. Meanwhile, Orochimaru runs in a straight line. Soon, the walls of the barrier come into view. The Snake Man rushes at the corner. Once he arrives, he sees a man in a mask sitting down and making a hand seal on the other side of the barrier. Orochimaru turns around and runs in a different direction, following the wall to the next corner. Before he can reach it, Madara appears before him. There's no escape. The masked man lunges at the Sanin. Orochimaru ducks to the side and continues running, but before he can get anywhere, another barrage of missiles come flying at him from above. The Snake Man maneuvers through the trees and explosions as best as he can, managing to only lose one arm in the process, and continues running. The human and Diva paths jump down from the trees before him, and Tendo uses another Shinra Tensei to knock Orochimaru back right into the clutches of the Asura path. Asura grows a giant saw from its back and pierces Orochimaru's chest with it. The Sanin coughs up blood and opens his mouth. A new Orochimaru begins emerging from it, but before he can go anywhere, Asura's hands turn into cannons and fire off more lasers at the Sanin, blowing off one of his legs. The Snake Man collapses to the ground. Madara walks up behind him. I told you before, there's no point in struggling.
we have assured a 100% guarantee that you will die. Even if you somehow, some way manage to best me and Pain, you'll still have 5 other Akatsuki members left to deal with right afterwards. Though you'd never get that far anyway.
Orochimaru lets out a grunt and the Asura Path fires another powerful beam at him, vaporizing his body again.
Both eyes down. Next time Orochimaru returns will be his last.
Further away, the Sannin reappears again. His other eye closes, leaving him blind. Orochimaru attempts to hide by phasing into the ground, but he's soon discovered by Pain's sensory capabilities and dug up by a few missiles from the Asura Path. Madara and Pain surround him from all sides. Asura morphs its hand into a cannon and points it at the Sannin again. Orochimaru tries one last trick. He opens his mouth and another Orochimaru shoots out. He lunges at Madara at full speed with a sword in his hand, ready to decapitate him. Madara simply scoffs and phases through him as Tendo uses a Bancho Tenin to pull him back in. Asura then fires his beam one final time, killing Orochimaru for good. Pain and Madara wait a few minutes just in case, but nothing happens. Then the real Nagato, accompanied by Konan, steps out of one of the trees.
Seems the mission was a success.
Yes, it appears so. Good work, Nagato. The paths of pain are a lot stronger than before thanks to you being healthy again. We have to hand it to Orochimaru. Him and Tsunade certainly helped our...
A massive laser beam comes from behind Madara and engulfs the masked man while he's talking.
Sorry, Madara, but this is where we part ways.
The paths of pain all surround the explosion site, ready to attack or defend, depending on the situation. Konan grows a set of wings and floats above the real Nagato, who himself gets ready for battle. When the dust settles, Madara is revealed with a part of his robe burned. One of his arms is missing, and part of his mask missing as well. Seems like he managed to slip past the explosion, but having been caught off guard, he couldn't start phasing in time and got partially hit.
What is the meaning of this, Nagato?
Our partnership is over, Madara.
Why? Why would such loyal members as you betray me?
You're a fool if you can't figure that out. Ever since Yahiko died, you've been giving us orders, trying to manipulate us. My ideals are very different from yours. The only thing we agree upon is that this world needs to be changed. We disagree on how it should be done. I went along with what you had to say because I had no other choice. To go up against a man who claims to be Madara Uchiha. It's a tall order. Your combat ability was a complete unknown to us. And even if the Paths of Pain had the capability to kill you, you could always just go for my weak and defenseless real body. That's what I thought. But now things have changed. I'm stronger than ever, and I've seen how you fight. I know your jutsu. I know how to beat you.
Fools. To betray me like this. I am the one who warned you about this world. I am the one who came to help you after Yahiko died. I am the one who directed you to most of the Akatsuki members we have today. I am the reason this organization even exists.
The Akatsuki is an organization that seeks peace. It's not a tool for your purposes. Nagato, Yahiko, and myself were the ones who formed the Akatsuki. This organization belongs to us. You just jumped on our bandwagon.
You ignorant brats. To me, you two are mere children who know nothing. I pushed and encouraged Yahiko to form the Akatsuki. I am the one who gave you the Rinnegan, Nagato.
Nagato and Konan's eyes widen at Madara's words.
What did you say?
I am the one who manipulated you from the shadows from the very start. Without me, you would be nothing. You'd have died a long time ago.
Nagato thinks Madara's words over carefully. In the moment of his resolve wavering, the masked man jumps back and starts to run towards one of the corners of the barrier.
Nagato, what do we do?
The Uzumaki regains his composure.
We'll think things over later. Right now we have to eliminate him before he escapes.
Nagato, Konan, Tendo, Animal, Asura, and the human path run after Madara.
Regardless of what happened in the past, even if he is behind some things, it doesn't change the present. Right.